Let me check my nose. Anyway, what's going down? Gotta say, I should pass it by some passe. What's the deal? Una got respect a qua. How are my people doing today? You know what I'm saying? We're gonna do our reading for the collective. We got the hourglass here. Works well. Get you an hourglass, okay? Papa Legba loves this hourglass. La Santa likes it too. Okay, that's why she has the hourglass. It helps speed up everything. You keep it with you on your workstation and you put it on top of your tarot cards. That's why you have more than one deck so that you can use them. See, I have like 3 tarot card decks in all actuality. So this is one, two. See, I got these work well with each other, and I have these. Okay, so what you do is you want to take this and put it on top of there, and there you have it. I want to recommend a few La Santa books. This book works really well. Okay, it is Su Majestad y Su Poderoso Coto. Okay, it's ofrendas and altares, trabajos and oraciones. So it's prayer for work. Okay, and it teaches you what to put on your altar. Okay, what else? This is another book I recommend. It's called Magicio Negro. Okay, it's called Black Magic. Okay, and what it has is different spells and that La Santa Muerte uses. Okay, Monday she's telling me that she works the red. La Santa works well with Papa Legba. Okay, because of the color red, it is love, the root chakra, stability. So you also use the red, do a lot of love work with La Santa on Monday because of Papa Legba. Okay. Now, as you see, Ace of Swords, clarification. All right. So, uh, also, you want to get you a skull. Okay, I've been using this skull. It works really, really well. Okay, and I also use it to teach the parts of the brain. Okay, like this. So, all right. So I'm gonna be teaching a lesson on sensory information and sensors. Okay, from motor nerves and how it works together to send brain waves using telepathy. That will be the next upcoming video. But for right now, I want to say Ashe Pashe Bason Passe so we can do a reading for the collective as we approach uh, the day after Christmas, the last Monday, 2021. Okay, so we will be going to 2022. So I'm gonna shuffle these up, and I'm gonna say a reading for the collective. All right, this is a general reading for the collective. Okay, for 2002. All right, this will be for Monday, the end of the year, following 2002. All right, so that being said, definitely are in transition with the Six of Swords. Okay, we have the Six of Swords here, so that means you are in transition. Okay, we also have the King of Cups. So you're learning to balance your emotions, having a balance with your emotions. All right, as you see, I shuffled the cards. Okay, we have the Ace of Swords. Okay, we're coming into clarification. Our intuition is getting stronger. Our orbits, our knowledge is growing. We're becoming smart. Okay, the Eight of Pentacles, the Eight of Wands is fast learning thought process. Okay, also we have the Six of Pentacles. Okay, so there is going to be some charity from the collective, some generosity from the collective. All right, FYI, my readings are going up to 150 starting in January. All my readings are going to be 150 for 30-minute sessions. Okay, and you will be able to book an appointment. So book your appointment and get you a session in as soon as possible. What is that number? Let me see. right, so okay, so like I was saying, 630 702 630. All right, so I'm working to put together a video on how telepathy works. Okay, and we're gonna be breaking down the structure of the brain. Okay, telepathy, the messages are come from pawns. All right, so mm, 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 mm. Pawns. Okay, so pawns will come from here. That look like this. Okay, these are pawns. Pawns control sensory information. Okay, so through pawns, you are able to speak telepathy. Okay, so what happens is you have, let me get my notes here together. I'm going to teach this lesson from part one. Okay, so what happens is the pawns from here, okay, you can send information on emotions through brain waves, quantum, what they're called quantum waves. So you have hertz and you have brain waves, sound waves. The hertz are the measure of the sound that the pitch goes from one brain to another without speaking or using words as well. So pawns control sensory information. Okay, you have A and B action potentials. All right, now the part of a brain is you have, looking at my notes, you have a spinal cord, a hindbrain, a midbrain, a forebrain, a motor nerve, and an interstation. Okay, the forebrains control emotions and memories. Thalamus as the router, cerebellum motor brains, medulla oblongata. Then you have the pons, which control. So the brain stems through the pons control brain stem. Okay, and these pawns have action potential. They have nerve signals. So through sodium and potassium ion flow, you control nerve signals. So you have a measure of negative 50 to positive 70. Negative 70 is below sleep level, which is 50. Okay, so the waves of the brain, it goes like that. Okay, from one pawn to another. So pawns, being electrons, can actually communicate from one shell to another. Okay, so it communicates. Pawns communicate through the sixth sense, which the pineal gland is attached to your brainstem, which is the pawn, okay? And then pawns send messages to the the person's forebrain. So the forebrain communicates through another forebrain by pawns. This is how hormones are created, and this is how what chemistry creates and how people like each other and be able to have sex and whatnot. All right, so brain stems and pawns can communicate to each other using telepathy, and this is how it works. Okay, community through the sixth sense. It's called the sixth sense, which is your third eye, which is here. Okay, so how to send verbal messages to other pawns. Visions study the eye. Okay. AI organization Akin. Visions, rods, okay, so rods through the eye, which have visions, pick up light. Okay. Optic nerve to the brain. Rod opens light, heels opens action, which controls the light action, which controls action potentials, which action potentials come from pawns. Okay, so sound sends action potentials to the brain. All right, so this is where mantras and singing and affirmations come into play. So you have to constantly raise your vibrations high enough and open up the layers around your nucleus, because every person has four, but there's 16 total. So the more layers around your nucleus, the more of your chakras are open. Okay. 16 layers control over 200 chakras. Okay, that's how important you have to have all 16 of your layers. All right, comprehensional sound waves through the air. What are sound waves? Sound waves are vibrating sounds. Okay, through like do, re, mi. Those are all vibrating. Lam, vam. Okay, those are vibrating sounds. All right. You have cello sound, which comes through the auditorial nerve. Okay, so your rods also control through your throat chakra, control your audio nerve, and through that communicates through pawns that can send message without using audio nerves. So telepathy is just being able to send messages without using audio nerves. But in order to use the audio nerve, you have to be able to increase your atomic nerve. And how you increase your atomic nerve is through practicing with your auditory nerve certain techniques. And those techniques are the chakras. Okay? Rifle blade, brain, action potentials are the nervous system, which works in your nervous system. Okay? So your nervous system, you're able to speak telepathy. All right? Spencer jet approval from your manger. Oh, and another point, your optic nerve and your pawns, you never lose. So your pawns never lose, even though your brain decays. Your pawn is what is nitrogen, which is the stars. So when you pass away, you increase higher on the rings through your proton. You elevate your proton through your optic nerve, so you get more rings. And when you have all 18 rings, you become, instead of a red color, you'll be a green color, which is the ascending levels, which is your stellar gate and your casual. Your casual, what you do on your Earth Star chakra is what you use on your casual chakra to elevate you to get more rings around your nucleus. Because if you have all 18 rings, then you are able to, but there are actually more than 18 rings. Some certain people have more than 18 rings, being able to communicate non-telepathy to the afterlife or to the green orbits, because green orbits are what keeps us into the existing world. So when a person goes into the afterlife, their color changes from what is red and then to all green. And when you get a green color because of your oxygen level, because of the energy which raises through the work that you put in on a daily basis using your chakras. Okay, so a person can see a green orbit using his sixth sense and able to communicate to a green orbit to another nucleus by using the sixth sense, depending on the level of pawns that you have, which is developed by genealogy, which is also ancestral and also bloodline, and also the work that you develop and put into through yourself, which is called either a veil or a sixth sense. All right, and a veil. Okay. Continuing on. Now, one signal can send it and transmit at one uniform strength or speed with frequency, which controls action potentials, and electricity, which is also neutral between action potentials and frequencies. Voltage measures the potential energy. So The volume of the frequency of the action potential is controlled by the electricity and the frequency, which is the charge. All right, so sensitized by reported charge. Membranes potential current, the flow of electricity from one point to another. So a current is measured by voltage and resistance. Resistance is whatever is getting into the way of the currency. All right. Now, communication through the pons is submitted through what we call dioptries, which comes from the membrane of the nucleus, which is the membrane potential. Okay, so this is at -70. This is what sends messages through pons. Okay, it starts with a D that sits on the outside of the cell membrane. Okay, mitosis, I believe. I could be wrong, but this is how pons send messages from one to another. Okay, the resting neuron, resting membrane potential is right here. So you can adjust the person's membrane potentials, but you have to be careful because you can cause the brain damage if you don't know the levels that you're adjusting. Okay, this is called alchemic practice. So sodium, which is also necromancy, which is what they call black magicia, which is Niagara. So this explains Sir Isaac Newton's law, which we actually created in Egypt using necromancies and black magic. So they call it. Okay, so the only reason why they call it black magic is because they call that because of it comes from Africa, which is Kemetic, which is another form of black. So, all right, so the sodium potassium has a pump, which pumps the ions, which fuels the pons. Okay, what I have 2 potassium, 3 sodium, 2 potassium and 3 sodiums. That's the rule. Okay, ions pass across the membrane. Ions channel, membranes store ions. Cell membranes store ions. Voltage gated channels open and close in response to changes in the membrane potential. All right, so this happens what it looks like when the membranes change. This is why we use a circle, triangle, and a square. And this is how you change messages and send using a paper if you're trying to do spell work. Okay. In order to do spell work, you have to familiarize yourself deep into science. And physics plays a great role in alchemic practice. Okay, so you have a membrane potential, which action control potential, which creates and changes the membrane. So you have membrane potential, and then you have measured time. Okay, and then so how fast you want to send a message created, you can use it by using a brain wave, which we'll discuss in the part 2 video. Okay, how to send a message telepathy using pons. Okay, and pons send messages through brain waves, and the faster you want to get a message to another pon, you use it by using brain waves, which is physics. Okay, so then we will explain that in the part 2 video. So sodium is the fuel that gives the pons. Okay, opens and increases the change in charge. Sodium channel opens and increases the charge in the membrane. Voltage gated sodium channel declarize the depolarize caused by changes in currents. Depolarize. So you depolarize the protons to change or send how fast you want to send a message through pons. Okay, high polarization read for it, period, and depolarized. So we're gonna explain depolarization in the second part of the video, okay? So this is part one on how pawns relate to the brainstem and how you can communicate messages, not even physically using nonverbal, but communicate through pawns, that how brainstems and pawns can actually communicate and have a whole life and communicate each other using telepathy. Okay, and we'll explain the rest, explaining depolarize in the second video. So make sure, ladies and gentlemen, this is also how channeling and mediumship works using physics will be the title of this video. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Welcome to the broadcast.